So have you ever found yourself struggling to read the messages in your print string? Maybe they're disappearing too fast, maybe you have too many, maybe they're too small in the screen, and it's just a hassle. Worry no more. In this video, we're going to be going through and making a custom event log inside of a custom debug HUD that is ready to go for any project you may need, easy to export, easy to import, and ready to implement. Just jump straight into the game, call it in whatever player you want, and you're ready to start printing messages to a little debug HUD. They never go away, you never have to worry about it, and they're still going to show up in your output log. So to get this started here, I'm just going to make a third-person blueprint template, and I'm just going to call this my debug HUD. The only reason I'm making it third person is so that we have a character in there. We can push a couple buttons and get this log showing up. You can make it a blank project if you want. We're going to export this into something else in this video here. And boom, we've got our new project open. I'm going to make a new folder here, call it Debug HUD. Inside of this Debug HUD, I am going to make a widget blueprint. We're going to call this Debug HUD. I'm going to make another folder here. I'm going to call this Event Log. Event Log is going to have two widgets. You're going to have one called Event Log, and it's going to have one called Log Tile. We can go ahead and open all of these things up. And we need one more thing in our event log here, and that is going to be an enumerator. And you don't necessarily need to do this, but I'm going to call this e_log type. That way I can get a little bit of distinction between my logs. A little bit of color added to them. And we're going to do one more thing here. We're going to make a blueprint function library, and this is what's really going to make this accessible in any project. So we're going to call this BPFL Debug HUD. And we're going to open that up as well. So inside of our BPFL Debug HUD, the first thing we need to do is create Debug HUD. This is going to be pretty simple. We're going to get player controller. We're going to say local player controller. So is local player controller. And this is just a little check for if you're maybe making this on a multiplayer game, you just want one debug HUD. You don't necessarily need to do this since it's a debug HUD, but we're going to do it anyway. If it is a local player controller, we're going to create widget debug HUD. And we're just going to go ahead and add that to the viewport. Now we need one more little function in here. And this is going to be called new event log. And this event log is going to do the same thing here. We're going to check and see if we're locally controlled just because, just for funsies. And if we are, we're going to get all widgets of class. So get all widgets of class. We know that we only have one debug HUD. If you're going to be spawning the debug HUD and despawning it multiple times, you might want to do something a little bit different here. I'm never going to despawn it. I'm just going to hide it. So we'll always have one at index 1. And we're going to need to run a little bit of logic inside of our debug HUD to actually get started on the rest of this functionality. So my debug HUD here is just going to be a canvas panel. And we're going to be adding in our event log. Our event log is just going to be a scroll box. This is going to be desired. This is going to be a variable. And we're going to call this scroll box event log. That's all we need to do here. If you want to customize the scroll box appearance, you're free to do that. Inside of our debug HUD, we're going to go ahead and add in w_event_log. I'm going to wrap this with an overlay. We're going to set this overlay to the Z order of 1 just in case there's something else on our screen. We'll move it to the lower left. And I'm going to make it as big as I want. This is totally up to you how big you want to make it. I'm going to make it about this big. I think this big will probably be fine. And inside of this overlay, I'm going to add an image. You can use a background blur, whatever you want. I'm just going to use an image. And this image, inside of the overlay, and I like it to be above the event log. It doesn't really matter too much. We're going to make sure we fill both of these. So fill horizontally and fill vertically. And this image is just going to be set to be black and a little bit transparent. So I'm going to open up the brush here. I'm going to open up the tint. I'm going to make it black. I'm going to make it 0.65. That way it's just a little dark on the background so I can always kind of see the event log here. Totally up to you whether or not you do that. It's just a nice little thing there. That way it distinguishes itself from the rest of the environment. So now inside of our debug HUD, we need a function in order to call from this BPFL add event log. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a custom function. This is going to be called new event log. This is going to grab our widget for our event log. It's going to get our scroll box for our event log. And we're going to create a widget here. And that is going to be the log tile widget. So let's go ahead and get this set up. Log tile is just going to be text. Now if you want to put this in a box and have a little bit of space underneath of it, that's perfectly fine. I don't think I need to do that here. It's also going to be desired. It's going to be called message. And it's going to be a variable. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger so I can see it. And I'm going to make sure it wraps. So I'm going to auto wrap text. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger on the font. I'm going to make it 36. That way it's just a little bit bigger for me. You don't really have to do this if you don't want to. If you're fine with 24, that's cool. If you, maybe you want it to be 18, right? That's cool too. So we're going to get our event construct out here. And we're going to get our text block for our message. And all we're going to do here is we're going to set text. And we're going to set color and opacity. We're going to plug those right in here. We're going to plug that in there. We're going to promote our color and our text to a variable. And this is going to be called message. Make sure it's instance editable and exposed. And we're going to make another one here, and this is going to be called type. So this is going to determine our event log type, and this is going to be e log type. Also instance and exposed. I'm going to get log type out here. I'm going to make my slate color, and I'm going to select the slate color based on this type index. So we're going to need some types in order to run this selector. Let's go ahead and make those. I'm only going to do 4. You can do as many as you want. I'm going to do normal, just a normal log. I'm going to do error. I'm going to do message. And I'm going to do another one here called debug. And this is for when I'm debugging things. I want it to be a slightly different color than all of our normal logs. Now that we have that set up, our selector is going to give us these colors. I'm going to use white for normal, red for error, red for error. For message, I'm going to use a blue color. And for debug, I'm going to use a yellow color. That way they're all a little bit different. They're going to basically tell me different things when I'm looking at this event log. And when I'm making, maybe I have a function that I really need to debug, I can add yellow in there. That's the only time yellow is going to appear. Maybe I have normal messages that I just kind of need as I'm testing my game. And maybe I have really hard errors in my game that I need to know about as soon as they pop up. So this is going to be red. And maybe I just have a normal little log there that I want to be white. Okay, so that's all we're going to do in log tile. Back in our debug HUD, when we create log tile, we're going to have our message and our type. We're going to pass those right into this custom event, new event log. And as I return here, we're going to go ahead and take this scroll box. We're going to add child to that scroll box. And when this happens, I want to make sure that it is automatically scrolling to the end. So I'm just going to come out of here and I'm going to say scroll to end. Nice and easy, just like that. If you want to save all of these tiles as an array and do something with it later, you're totally free to do that. I don't need to do that. And if I have a specific use case where I need to, it won't be too much to come in here and make it an array. So now inside of our BPFL debug HUD, we're going to go ahead and call that new event log from our debug HUD. And I actually want to call it add event log. I'm not sure why I called it new event log. I want it to be a little bit different than my custom function there. So we're going to call it add event log. There we go. Now it's not the exact same name. For our message, we're going to drag this again all the way over to the start of the function. That way we can make it an input pin. Add pin to node. Add pin to node. And then I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to log string. And this is going to make sure that the message is always getting logged in our output log for our game, just in case we have some kind of error and we need this in our output log. So I'm going to get the message, and I'm just going to make that a string, and that's going to appear inside of our output log down here whenever we call it. So just a little bit of extra there to make sure that we are actually getting that in our logs as well. Make sure everything's compiled and saved. Give it a once over if you need to, but that is all we are going to do here. So let's test it out. Inside of my third person blueprint, inside of the third person player here, On event begin play, I'm just going to go ahead and add that. So we're going to say create debug HUD. You can do this in your game mode. You can do it in your level. I'm just going to do it here in the player. That way it just creates the debug HUD. And then on my key, on my event tick, I'm just going to print a random message here. So we're going to add delay half a second, just so we can see this in action. And I'm going to say new event log. For this here, I'm going to make 2 different arrays, so I'm going to promote both of these to a variable. That way it's just a little bit random. You don't need to do this part. This is just for testing. I'm going to make all of those random arrays, and again, this is just for testing. I'm going to plug those into the new event log. So on event tick, we're just going to delay half a second and start up the event log. Now when I press play here, we're going to get all of the different colors in here. It's totally just picking one out of random. But now we can see in here all of the different things that are going to happen inside of our event log. Let's go ahead and make a couple of them really long. We're going to see that it's wrapping around. We're getting all of the event logs. It's coming in different colors so we can clearly see what's going on. And if I shift F1 here, I can come in here and I can check my event log as much as I need to. Maybe I want to pause the game so it stops printing every half a second. And then just shift F1, I can come in here and I can read my event log as I need to. You can make the text bigger, you can make the text smaller, you can expand the size of this as much as you want. Totally up to you. It's nice, easy, modular, ready to go. So now that we've seen it in action, right, we see that it is working. It's doing exactly what we want it to do. One more time, we will just press play and we'll look at our output log, and we see that it is properly printing these in the output log as well. So that's nice. Everything's ready to go. We're going to have this in a blank project, right? We want to export this wherever we want. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hit migrate. We're going to right click on the folder. We're going to click migrate. It's going to give us all the things that we need to migrate to make this work. We're going to go into our Unreal Engine projects. I'm going to do this in the My First Spawner, which is another video we're working on. I'm going to put this in the content, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop it right in there. Okay, now that should be ready. I'm going to open up My First Spawner, and we're going to see this Debug HUD in action. So now that I've got My First Spawner open, I can already see in my content folder, my Debug HUD is right here, ready to go exactly how it was. We have all of our enums ready. We have all of our event logs, all of our tiles. Everything is already ready to go. We don't have to make this again. So I'm going to go into my third person character here. And I'm going to do basically the exact same thing, except I'm just going to print some messages off of my 1, 2, and 3 keys. So again, I'm going to add this debug HUD. We're going to call create debug HUD on begin play. And instead of having these messages on our 1, 2, and 3 keys, we're going to add event logs. So we're going to say new event log 1, new event log 2, new event log 3, and new event log 4. So now that I've got all of these basically set up to 1, 2, 3, and 4 show our messages, I want to go through and show you one more neat little trick we can do here. So where I have this message, maybe I want this message to be a little more custom. So I'm going to drag off of this text. I'm going to say format text. And if you're using a string, you can just append the string. It's basically the same thing. I'm going to pasta my message back in here, and instead of saying third person character, I'm going to say C, X, whatever you want. You can do as many of these as you need. So I could say C, comma, Y, comma, V, TC, whatever you want. These are all going to be input pins. I only need C. So basically, because this is an error message, I need to know where it is in the world. So I'm going to get display name. I'm going to pass display name into my C here. And from the object, I'm just going to say self. And I'm going to do basically the same thing down here with my debug key event. Because I'm debugging, I want to know exactly where this came from. So I'm going to say debug key in 4. Check C. And that's going to be the same thing that's going to give me this player. So just real quick, a nifty little thing you can do there. You can format all of your text just like you kind of would for the print string, except you would be appending it. Totally up to you if you want to do that or not. But now when I come in here, I press 1, normal debug message. 2, this is an error message, check third person character. I obtained a potion, a debug key, and I can press this as many times as I want. And this is all going to come up in the event log here. So if I maybe had an event way up here that I missed, I needed to check, it's going to be like, oh, okay, this is the error that came up. This is where it came up. Now I can go check that in my code. And just to show one more time, we're going to play in the selected viewport. We are still printing these out in the output log. So I'm going to do a bunch of jibberty-jib here. And I'm going to go to my output log, and I'm going to see that it is all still printing in my output log. That is fantastic. Now I can use this anywhere I want, in any game I want. Easy, migrate it. I'm just going to keep it in its own separate little folder. I'm actually going to make that not a third-person blueprint. I'm going to make that a completely empty blueprint folder. That way there's nothing in there except the event log. I can just open it right up. I can copy my event log. I can put it in any project I want, ready to go, ready to replace that annoying little print string that I have to open up every time, set a duration, then maybe I can't read it in time, maybe I have to look back through the logs. No more of that. I have my nice little event log here. It's colorized, it's easy to use, and it's totally 5 minutes setup, right? Totally worth 5 minutes for the setup. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video, and if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and let me know in the comments section below.